Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, when you took a hit on the screen, I got a freeze frame on your end.
How about, is it like freed back up again?
Now it is. Yeah.
Okay, good. So let me walk around to the other side here.
Can you pull down that screen there, Dr. Wood?
Here I am. Oh yeah, I will. Sorry. Hi, Bruce.
I mean, you got time.
Yeah, I know. Derek and I had a meeting with the president and his captain today for one of the projects in class here. So, yeah, I thought it was probably prudent. So I'm going to just hand things over to you, man. You've got as long as you want. I need to bring the screen down so the students can see you a little bit better and fire away.
Well, I have a few questions here from you guys. So what I'd like to do is I'd just like to start at the top of the list. And I'm going to try to give some of these names, but I'd like to have you ask your question as is listed here, then I will answer it. And I might ask you a couple of questions too. Shady?
It's actually Chad. You have the spelling correct, but I think Chad's not here right now, right?
Nope.
He's sometimes a little bit late, so we'll move on from Chad.
All right, Dennis Cassidy.
Dennis is back there. Can you wave, Dennis?
How's it going? Hey, back in the room guy. Okay. Hi, Dennis. Dennis, read your question.
I don't have it in front of me.
You want me to read?
Sure.
Says, what is your process in investing?
Oh, Bruce, Chad just got here. By the way.
All right.
Go ahead.
Chad, hi.
Hello.
You got a freeze frame again, Dave. Have you ever made any bad investment decisions? If so, what did you learn from them moving forward? Oh yeah, gosh. One I think that comes to mind. We were in the travel business, and we were highly automated, and we had 550 people. We probably had 900 computers all over the country. It was really heavily computerized as we moved forward. And we were one of the first people to go online with an online retail site before the guys at Microsoft did it or anybody else did it. It was just a bunch of local guys. And we did a good job putting the product together, getting it out there. But what we realized very quickly when Microsoft got into the business that we couldn't survive, we couldn't compete against their advertising budget. We were spending like $75,000 a year, and they were spending like $7.5 million a year. So what I learned from that was, don't play with the big boys if you ever got out of poker chips. So that's what I learned. Any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Welcome to the class. You're late.
Thanks, Bruce.
You're welcome.
Thanks for playing bad cop for me today, man. I get the good cop.
And then if you're in the back, right in front of Chad, what is your process in investing? Well, it depends on what I'm investing in. I mean, there's two different processes. I'll go to the angel stuff because other people have asked about that. But in the public markets, the stock market in New York and the international markets, I'm a trend guy. I like to look at the graphs. There's so much information now on the computers that I like to see what the graphs are over a period of time, 3 to 5 years, what the dividend history is. And I'm not sure this is the kind of question you're asking me, Dennis, but this is how I invest. And then I only put 5% in most in any one particular fund or ETF or things of that nature. I like to have diversity, and I like to have spread it around in different categories: large cap, medium cap, small cap, international, bonds, stocks. You have to have a mix to keep from getting killed. You wouldn't want all of one thing in your portfolio, for example. Even if it was Apple, after a while you're going to get beat up. So I do that, and then I also have one other rule or two rules. One of I never buy in the open market. I always buy at a particular price or sell at a particular price. Sometimes I get beat up on that, but mostly I'm okay. And then if one of my investments on the markets goes down 10% or more, I bail. I'm not sure why it's dropping. I can read all of it that I can read, but the guys that are much smarter than I are going to bail out because they know things I don't know. So those are kind of my basic rules in the public markets. Any questions, Dennis?
No, thanks, Bruce.
You bet. Fran?
That'd be me.
Where?
He's off the screen. Hang on, Bruce.
He sees me.
Can you see him? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I got it. Fran, can you read your question for me?
I honestly do not remember it, not gonna lie.
I can't remember that. Okay, well, I'm gonna
So,
have to go over there.
Bruce, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
If you guys can sort of see the direction this is heading, if you like had your laptop in front of you, like go to that same link that I gave you when you wrote the questions down. If you can't remember your question, it's on that spreadsheet. You can like open it up right now.
Well,
Oh, I got it right here.
you got it?
Do you have a certain type of venture you prefer investing in? But I guess
Yeah.
slightly.
Well, again, you're talking about the public markets or the startups?
The startups.
Okay. Well, Fran, I don't know. I like to invest in things I can understand. And so a lot of the investors today are in tech. Some of them are in old-fashioned manufacturing, but most of the startups are in tech. And so I kind of favor things that that for me make sense and I can understand them. And I don't like things that have government subsidies attached to them, like solar. Because I never know when the politics are going to change in this country and they're going to decide to kill the subsidies. It's like Tesla, same thing there, highly subsidized by the government. So I don't like those deals because I don't know what the background is going to be from the federal point of view.
Bruce,
Yeah.
I think
Did I
we
go to
lost
bed?
light.
What happened? My lights are still on, but I can put some more lights on.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the lighting of you got a lot like. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why, but
Yeah.
you just got really dark. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. I didn't know
That's a lot better.
So, that. So I don't really understand. I don't understand social media very well at my age. I mean, I've got a lot of Google stock. I don't have any Facebook. My daughter's got lots of Facebook. Got Apple. Now here's an interesting situation in terms of that kind of thing. If something turns bad, like this thing where Apple's fighting the federal government and the FBI, that's tricky. That could go a lot of different ways. And so if you've got an investment that that's got some issues with the federal government or with state regulations, that's stuff you got to be careful of. So I like stuff that's kind of simple and I can understand it. That'd be my simple answer. Jeremy, you want me to give them a little recap on me, or did you already do that?
Yes, that would be awesome, Bruce. They know already, but I never get tired of hearing your story, and I think they would enjoy hearing it too.
I love you, man. You're quite so enthusiastic.
I love you too, man. I miss you.
I miss you too. Hey, listen. We have a good relationship. My story. Born in Indiana, raised in California during World War II. But my dad went off to fight in the Navy, and after that, we stayed in California since the age of 4. I grew up in a very. You there?
Yeah, I am. I was trying to make the volume better, and I just messed with it. Now I made it too loud.
It was fine, Dr.
Yeah.
We were
Hey, Jerry, don't screw it up, okay?
I'm trying my best. Say something again.
All right. I lived in Southgate, California.
Okay.
Anybody know where that is?
Yep.
Never heard of it.
Tracy does. Hang on.
It's just.
Tracy, you said yes, right?
Where Southgate is, yeah.
Tracy, can you wave?
Hi.
She actually. Oh, here. Wave again. Tracy knows where it is.
I know where it is. I'm from Los
Oh,
Angeles.
great. Thank you, Tracy. Somebody knows where it is. It's in South Central LA. It was a rural community then. We had chickens and rabbits and stuff like that. And then when my dad got back from the war, my mother started some businesses. She was a serial entrepreneur. She had 2 businesses during the war, one in baby clothes and one in toys. So I grew up around entrepreneurs, and that's what I enjoyed. That's all I knew, frankly. My grandparents owned a feed and seed store as well. And so went to high school in Pasadena, California, and then went to UCLA, met my wife there. Had an undergraduate degree in business. Never went to graduate school because I went into a family business at that time after I got out of the Navy. In those days, the draft was on, everybody went in the military. So 62, I get out of the Navy and go to work for my dad in the auto parts business, and did that for about 10 years. We had a soft drink business here and in Asia, and did that for a few years and traveled in Asia. And then started in our travel business. We had a travel company, travel agency, and that became the 4th largest one in the United States. It went public, and about the time it did that, my father and I had a falling out. And I will tell you this about family businesses. They're either very good or they're very bad. So if any of you are in family businesses, I'm sure you are, God bless. And if you're the kid, not the dad, which you obviously are at your age, God, good luck. Because I was the son, and my father was a tough guy. He came out of the Depression, and you're lucky to have a job and so forth. So anyway, good luck to you if you're in family businesses, and let's hope that they work out beautifully. So anyway, I bought a part of the business, the travel company, and we ended up having about 550 people living in 28 states. We did mostly corporate work. Worked for people like Occidental Petroleum, Citibank, a couple thousand accounts around the United States. And we sold it to a public company just about 20 years ago, this June. And did very well, and we've been doing investing since then, and have a little real estate company with 4 buildings in it here in Oregon. And we live in Oregon 7 months a year.
Bruce,
My wife's father was a cowboy, and we went up there, his cattle ranch was there, and we got to loving it, so we now have 90 acres of the old ranch left. And the wildlife reserve, we do a lot of things around there with animals and birds and so forth.
Bruce, can I ask you a question quick?
Absolutely.
What company did you sell it to? I've never known.
Well, we sold it to a company that doesn't exist anymore. It's called U.S. Office Products. Ultimately, it ended up in the hands of Carlson, companies out of Minneapolis, and they're a very large travel-based company. They own Radisson hotels and that kind of thing. So it was a great business. It was a great business, and it was one that was, I inherited from my dad and learned the business, and we did very well. Any questions about that path?
Anybody? Bruce, Jacob, were you starting to raise your hand?
Kind of just the travel in general. That was what my question was, Jacob. It was just if you've used your travel experience, because I know you've done a lot of like nonprofit, and I think it was like community service kind of stuff. If you've used that to help tourism in a community or anything like that, because I know there's some communities that are.
Do I use it to help tourism in the community in which I live? A little bit, but not much. I tell you, for me in my day, and I don't know about you guys, the issue is stay focused, work hard, 60 hours a week, travel, 2 weeks a month, just work. So I really never had much time to put in the community. I owned a Rotary in downtown LA, got involved with Boy Scouts, of which I was one, as an adult. But not really. I spoke a few times at some of the LA Times travel shows, things like that. A little bit inside of our industry in the trade, in our trade, but not as you might say, go through the tourist office in Bakersfield, for example. I didn't work with that kind of thing. Any other questions before we go on with your questions?
I got another one for you, Bruce.
Sure.
I've never asked you this. I don't think I've ever asked you this question, and you don't have to answer it exactly. But I always tell the students basically, you grew Associated Travel to be the 4th largest corporate travel agency in the United States, and then you got a great offer for a buyout for a boatload of money, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So, in ballpark figures, how big was the boatload, and what was it like? What was it like to go from working your ass off for so long to having a big boatload of money given to you? And I don't think anybody in this room has experienced that.
Well, it's exciting, it's rewarding, it's ego building. gonna ignore the amount, because you never ask a guy how many acres he owns.
That's fine. I'm just saying ballpark. I throw numbers out there to give people an
You know
idea.
what a unit is?
Huh?
You know what a unit is?
Unit?
A unit is $100 million. So, you know, less than a unit, how's that for?
Okay, that is all that is ballpark enough, Bruce. I never knew how big to tell the number.
Yeah, it was a big payday, it was great.
Okay.
But I will tell you, I'll give you one story out of that, which I think is something that I learned, and I think you guys should hopefully take it with you. It is, having grown up poor, by that I mean I had one pair of shoes, we had one pair of pants to wear to school. We come home from school, and you would put on your play clothes, so to speak, which were patched pants with patches on top of the patches. You took off your shoes and went barefoot. So we were very poor, but we ate well because we had our own chickens and so forth, vegetables. The good news was wherever we lived, everybody's the same. Everybody was in the same boat. Everybody took their shoes up. Everybody went barefoot, so nobody cared. But when you all of a sudden have a lot of money, you get a little arrogant, and so now, when in the past when I walked by a penny or a nickel, I'd pick it up and be pleased to have it. Now I would say, I don't need that penny. I'm going to just leave it lay on the street. And I did that for about 6 months, Jeremy, and it just got to me. I said, I don't care how much money you got. Pick up the penny. And I would say to you that be true to yourself. You're going to have certain things you've learned as a kid. And don't let go of them. I'll give you another example. When we lived during the war, World War II, with my grandparents, and they were the ones that had the feed and seed store. My grandparents were born in Czechoslovakia. Do any of you have parents that were born in another country? Raise your hand.
Well,
There's one.
Fran is actually from Croatia. Fran was born in another country. He's from Croatia.
Okay, that's close. And my grandmother, was a messy cook, and the floor was always dirty, which I was the guy that scrubbed it for $1 a week. And she always said, if food falls on the floor, pick it up and eat it. And so I did, and I still do. I go to some of the fanciest damn parties you ever saw. If something falls off my plate, I reach down, pick it up, say, thanks, Grandma, and eat it. And now it turns out, with all this stuff about sanitization at the grocery store and everything, that now the scientists are starting to say eating dirt is good for you. There's bacteria in it. There's all kinds of stuff that helps you protect your body. So I don't know. It's up to you guys to do what you want to do, but be true to yourselves. And Grandma may have something to say to you that maybe is important, so you might listen to it. Are we going with the questions?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay, so up to you guys. Whatever you want to do.
Since you had a pause,
jump in.
Since you had a pause in the story there for a second, I thought I've never had you tell the students what was it like to go from working hard for so many years to having a big boatload of cash, because none of us have experienced it, and I think that's something that none of the other guest speakers that I have talked to the class have gone through quite the same way either. So I was interested to hear what that was like from a personal point of view.
It's a lot of fun, but the one thing, the many things you learn. One of the things you learn is no matter how much money you got, there's only 24 hours in a day, so you can only do one thing at a time, really. And so you get mad at the fact you haven't got more time, and how come if you got all this money, why can't you buy more time? And you can in a way. You get people to help you do stuff and what have you. But anyway, it's a trip, and you just kind of be careful not to get carried away with it. Mr. Dickinson.
Jared? I thought I saw Jared before. I thought I saw him out in the hall. Yeah, he's normally over by,
Okay.
he's not here right now, Bruce, but.
Okay, Dracos.
Chris is also normally over there, but he's not here.
They're probably together. Jesse Garcia.
0 for 3. But that's it. Everybody else should be here except for Traco, because his wife is like dealing with some stuff right now. But I think you just went through. Oh, and Julian. Julian's not here. Traco's not here, and everybody else you just and Lacey. Everybody else you're good. So.
You say Lacey's not there?
Yep. Go past Lacey. Go down to Blaine, and you're all good.
All right, Blaine.
All right. So what's one of the more
You want to read your question?
Yes. What's one of the most interesting technology ventures you've been involved with? Not necessarily the most successful, but the most interesting.
Well, the most interesting was kind of an odd one. It was technology way back in the day when, you guys remember when AOL was a big deal? And they bought out Ted Turner. I don't know if you might have read that in history books by this point, but anyway, we bought into a company, it was a startup company that was doing automated billing software for telephone systems. And they had gone over to AOL, they were interested in buying this system from them at AOL, and it was really a good system, it was working very well, and AOL did not buy it, and then it turns out AOL had copied the software illegally, and so the venture was okay, but the big payday came when we sued AOL and they settled. So, it just depends on what you're about, and I can tell you some other deals we did that were awful. I mean, we just lost our shirt. But that was kind of a technology deal. I liked the technology, and we won for the wrong reason. Any questions there, Blaine?
Oh, thank you.
Did AOL steal it on purpose, Bruce, or was it sort of like confusion and comedy of errors kind of thing?
I don't know the answer to that. All I know is they wrote a big check to us, and they, why don't you guys go away? We're going to move on here. And so that's all I know. But it was a funny situation. I was just talking to someone about that the other day. One of my best investments in startups. Okay, is it Tracy Denise Hicks?
Tracy, yeah. Tracy was the one that knew where you're from.
Oh, okay, Tracy, your question, the line's blank on my paper. What was your question?
You know what? Dave Hanna, I'm sorry.
You can come up with one now, though, if you want.
I was in here doing something terrible. Give me a second, I will come up with one.
Maybe the next person.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll come back to Tracy.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Rebecca?
Rebecca's right here. Wave, Rebecca.
Where are you, Rebecca?
She doesn't have her laptop in front of her, though. Oh, here, look.
So read your question to me, Rebecca. Wait, please.
How much power do you concede to an angel investor without undermining your own position?
Without undermining your own position?
Yeah.
Well, Rebecca, it's a real balance job. It really, the obvious answer is you give away as little as possible. Because you don't want to give away your equity away. So, you try to in terms of the equity part, you try to give away as little as possible, 10, 20%, 30%. It depends on how much money you need and how many suitors you have. Obviously, the more suitors you have, the more investors that want to invest in your company, the better off you are. You can negotiate with different groups. You can raise the price because they still got their tongue hanging out. They want to do a deal with you. So, you want to concede to them the least amount of power possible. But on the other side of it, let me say this about angel investors: if you find a good group or a good individual who's really wanting to add value, they've got great experience in the space you're in. Let's say you're a retailer, you're retailing shoes, and this is a person that wants to invest in this, and retired from Nike, something like that. Then they would be very helpful to you. But I don't call that a concession. I consider that to be an assist. But generally, to your question, is you just want to give them as little as possible and get as much back. And they understand the game. I mean, they do it all the time. So it's just a normal negotiation. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
Yeah, how did your military background help you while you...
Well, that's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that question before.
Bruce?
Yeah.
Anthony has heard from you before, but was the question different than the Navy question last time?
I don't remember the question last time. That was a year ago.
I think this is different.
I want to warn you that you're talking to in this case you're talking to an audience member who is from the Navy and like has heard something about your Navy story from last spring. I just wanted to warn you.
So don't repeat it, huh?
Yeah. So this last you can repeat it if you want. I'm just saying, just to give you some context. Last
Yeah,
spring's
appreciate
class
it.
was the undergrad class, and now Anthony and Derek, both right next to each other there in
Well,
the back,
that's great. Anthony, good for you, man. Keep going.
are in my they're in my MBA class now. So
Yeah. Anthony, what branch of the military were you in?
I was in the Navy, did 6 years.
Okay, and what did you do?
I ran with the Coast Guard and the Marines in South America as a fire control weapon system.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, sure. Well, I think that the military for me gave me a sense of punctuality, a sense of pride. You know, the chief that I worked for, he worked for me if I really worked for him. Chief petty officer, he said, you know, if you're not early for your shift, you're late. I've never forgotten that. I tell people that all the time. If you're not early, you're late. I got in trouble a couple of times. I was in cryptography and classified communications. And Jeremy helped me. I don't know if I told this story or not about getting in trouble with my boss. Did I tell you about that? Almost going to the break.
You may have, but the last time you told it was the first time that I've ever heard it, and it was fun. So I want to hear it again because I can't remember the details.
Well, anyway, the greatest lesson I learned in the Navy was a lesson that Bill Clinton didn't learn when he was the president. And that is, at some point, the bullshit stops. And I was a great salesman and a good con man, and I could get what I wanted from most anybody, and I could get out of most any problem I got into. I always had an answer, and it always worked. And so now I'm 22, and I'm in my job as a cryptographic watch officer, which means we just did classified communications we were staff to the admiral. And he was in charge of the whole western seafront, which is this ocean between San Francisco and Hawaii. And somehow one of my guys sent a message, a classified message, what they call in the clear, or an unclassified line, which is kind of what Hillary Clinton's been dogged about with her own PC at home. And so the commanding officer brings me in, and he's what they call a Mustang. A Mustang is an officer who was an enlisted man. So these guys are generally pretty tough. So I danced a bit, I told him my story, and he says, well, just don't let it happen again. And then 2 weeks later, damn, it happened again. I'm back in front of him again. Got another story to tell. And I get 2 or 3 words out. He stands up and says, this interview is over. If I find you here again, you're going to the brig. Dismissed. So, you know, here I am, always being able to get my way out of anything, and I finally had a payday. This guy finally stuffed me and says, you know what, I'm not listening to your nonsense anymore. You don't make mistakes when you're working for me. Stop it and get out of here. So I learned that, you know, you're responsible for your actions. You cannot always talk your way out of a problem. And that was one of the greatest lessons I learned in my life, and I'm glad I learned it at a young age. So, does that answer your question?
It does. Dead on.
And my guess is you might have had a similar experience.
I've had 100 similar experiences. And they hammer personal responsibility. That's, they hammer that into you.
Anything else?
For me? No, I'm good.
Okay.
Just the one.
Mr. Marquez, or Ms. Marquez? Yes, Mr. Marquez?
Yeah. How has your experience in the travel agency impacted your success in the finance industry?
Well, I think that what happened in the travel business at our level in the corporate travel business was very time sensitive. We had presidents of corporations catching airplanes all day, every day. I mean, you literally got in the office at 7 in the morning and you strapped yourself in and you were there till 6 o'clock at night. And there was stuff flying by you all the time. People, you had thousands of travelers all over the country. And the guys I dealt with were the presidents of the corporations and the travel managers. So what I learned in that situation was be organized and follow up. And I had lists on top of lists, and you were always, making sure your people did what they said they were going to do or what you said they were going to do. So you were very organized. You were very current, you were on board. And then with the financial industry, we got involved with some investments. That same disciplines applied. you know, you watched the charts, you invested in things you understood, you took a flyer here or there. When they broke 10% below where you bought them, you sold them. You had this whole sense of discipline that you had to have in the travel business, because you could lose a customer in a space of, 5 minutes if you can't respond and find the guy a seat. If he's at the airport and the plane's full and somehow his seat didn't exist, even though he had a ticket in his hand. So there was a crucible of fire in the travel business of being organized and following up that did very well for me later on. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, the next one is Carl Hansen. Wayne?
I already asked the question.
Wait.
The next one's Traco.
Yeah, Traco is like in a unforeseen like eventuality right now with his wife.
Okay, so we're talking about Hansen. Hansen is gone?
Where's Hanson? Blaine? You already did Blaine.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. Like,
Oh, yeah, I'm double up. I went to the second page. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so skip Traco.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Can we do his question? Because it's a good question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Traco is not here, but through
No problem.
through no fault of his own, and Kayleen actually
No
asked
problem.
if you could still answer it because it's a good question.
I'll ask it. So he said, what about your business keeps you up at night? Or maybe during the course of your career, what has been a stressor that's kept you up?
What stress has kept me up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, many things. I think that, customers, they have a problem, they're going to fire us, and I'm trying to keep them from firing us. New customer we made a presentation to, are we going to get them or not? The presentation will work. The thing that I was up at night mostly, that was the most scary, was finances. We were growing the business at a very fast rate. We were probably growing the business at 15% a year on average for 20 years, and it got to be pretty big, and finances got to be pretty serious. And I got to tape every day how much cash we had in the bank, every day, to make sure we had at least $1 million cash in the bank all the time. And my biggest worry in the middle of the night, and by the way, the middle of the night stuff is worse. I don't know if you guys have had the experiences yet, but you will if you haven't. I mean, the middle of the night is awful. And the good news is morning does come, the sun typically does come up, and life does look better in the morning. So don't do anything stupid in the middle of the night, because it just looks awful in the middle of the night. So my big problem was always finances. Because I grew up poor, I still have this great fear of being poor. That there was this gnawing feeling in my stomach that, Jesus, we have enough money to make the next 3 payrolls, and there's a downturn coming, or what are we going to do about this or that? And so that was basically it. Any questions?
Not on that one. I think we can always come back with more questions. Oh, actually, Tracy has a question. Hang on. Yep, Tracy's ready with her question now.
Hi.
Go ahead.
So, I was reading here that you invested in a number of new ventures. Can you tell me what makes you decide to invest in a particular venture? What sparks your interest? How do you go about that process when you decide to invest?
Jeremy, can you repeat that?
Yeah, sorry, Tracy, you're a little far away from the microphone. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So she said, when you're looking to invest in a new, you talked a little bit about things you understand and what you don't understand, but other than that, what do you look for that is a success factor or a predictor of a good venture, and what do you look for as red flags when you're looking at new ventures to invest in?
Well, I'm trying to do stuff that makes sense and that I understand. Now, you guys have the advantage because you're much younger than I. You understand social media. You understand all the technical things that are going on. You have a terrific advantage over me, and so you're a much better investor. So I stay with things I understand. I'll give you a couple of examples. I didn't invest in these, but my brother did. One is a water company. There's a bunch of guys in San Francisco that are They're trying to be eco-friendly, and they're trying to get kids in college to get rid of water, plastic water bottles, and just have the refillable ones. And they're selling and they're not the only ones now, but they're selling a water purifying dispenser where you either put a quarter in, or the university subsidizes it and you get free water. But it's ionized water that they have these dispensers they make in China, and they sell all over the country, and they sell to high hotels and things like that. And it's going pretty well. Another one that they're involved with is a flour company. And you'd think there was enough flour companies around, but what the deal is two guys from Stanford, one's from Peru and one's from the United States, they're roommates. The kid from Peru's family has apparently a massive flower nursery in Peru or Ecuador, I can't remember now. In Ecuador, I know because we've been there. In Ecuador, probably more information on it, it's on the equator. So in Ecuador in particular, they grow roses 12 months a year in hothouses, and they ship them by air all over the world. And roses in Ecuador, roses cost you 5 cents. I mean, they're ubiquitous, they're everywhere. So anyway, the guy here knew how to get on the internet. He knew how to get the financing. The guy from South America knew how to deliver the product. And now they got a thriving business. They're doing about $25 million a year. They just got a big round of $13 million to invest because they're growing like crazy. They're growing about 50% a year, and it's home delivery. So you buy them over the internet, and they ship it to you, UPS, FedEx. And they're very fresh. It's a good value, and they're doing great. So those kinds of things are what you would call very unsophisticated, but for me, because I understand them. Pardon me. That's what I would do. That's what we're doing. Any questions?
Back to the beginning of your interview, you were talking about how you invest 50%. Oh, hold on. Say it again. Okay. So at the beginning, you were talking about how you invest at 5%? 5%? Okay. I was saying 50. And then you buy at 5% also. I was wondering what you're referring to. The 5% of what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for asking. What we do with our investing is we break it down into category. Large caps would be stocks like General Electric, and then mid caps might be a mid-sized oil company. And small caps would be a company under $1 billion of sales. And there's utilities, REITs, which are real estate investment trusts. There's various categories of investments, and maybe there's 10 or 15 of them. And we only invest 5% of our money in any fund we have in one category. So if we had $1 million, we would invest $50,000 in each of the categories. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now what happens is you'll find when we got Microsoft in one of our portfolios, and it's now 9%. We've had it 20 years, 40 years actually. So then you got a very low basis, and you got to pay a heck of a tax, and it's got a nice dividend now. So you're right. You hope that you're not going to get beat up. But so there's exceptions to the rule. Okay? No, yes, more?
So you said you have a set amount of money for each category?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and we treat them all the same. But sometimes, like Microsoft, they'll grow. And so you have the decision to make whether you rotate out of it or sell whatever your gain is above the 5%, or hang on. And that's your call.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Is Anita?
Neda.
Okay.
Close though. I made the same mistake at first. Neda, do you remember your question?
Yes. Where would you invest your money today, and what type of small business would you consider to get into in this challenging economy?
Well, I kind of answered that question, Nita, but let me say one thing to you, and Warren Buffett said it today in USA Today, and I like what he said. Get rid of the word challenging economy. That just puts you in a box. And whether the politicians are all telling them the world's coming to an end, I don't believe it. And I think for you guys today getting started, obviously life is challenging, everything is challenging, but the economy, in my mind, is what you make it. And it goes up and it goes down. Don't box yourself in by calling it challenging, please. Just, this growing economy, this exciting economy, this different economy. What would you invest your money in today? Boy, you know what? That's a great question, and I don't have an answer for it.
Bruce, can I put that in context a bit?
Yeah.
Ned, if I remember correctly, in your professional development plan, in addition to okay, in addition to your husband's dental business, weren't you saying that you're looking at like starting your own business in the future? Yes. Yeah. So when Bruce gets back, I think it'd be interesting for you to list some like short list options of things you're looking at in this area. You might put things in better context for him.
Okay, I'm back.
Did you hear all that, Bruce?
I did. She's going to tell us about our opportunities.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the things that I was thinking about is just like having maybe in store, like an online store, or maybe even like a physical store in town to start with. But it's not really a big business plan. I was just throwing something out there to start with.
Jeremy, can you repeat that as summary? I read it.
Yeah, so online store. So basically, Bruce, Nada's husband has a dental practice here in town right now, and like she was thinking of like starting her own business in the future, and I think the options that she's looking at right now focus around online stores. Is that a fair?
It's just something that.
That's one particular option.
Well, the store is selling what?
Clothing.
Well, it depends on what kind of who. Children's clothing, adult clothing, teenagers.
Adults, and adult women. Is it a particular type of women's clothing?
It's just very fashionable clothing.
Fashionable clothing for women sold online, Bruce.
Well, I obviously don't know anything about that. My daughter buys a lot of stuff online. She buys it from Nordstrom's and so forth. And so I don't know if she's got a special site she buys it from for a specialty seller or not. I would just say to do a lot of homework, do a lot of market surveys, find out what your niche is, find out what the competition is. Also, there's a big discussion right now about return rates of clothes and how that affects profitability and how you got to pay for it. Because they order 3 things and send 2 back, and I don't have any idea how you price that. So I would say that's all fine, but you really have to research it, and I would really start slow with a few items in a particular category. Start with skirts, for example, or blouses, or shoes, or something, where you can inventory it without too much expense and then see what works, what colors work, and so forth. I would just be very research based. Would be my suggestion.
Does that help at all, Netta?
Yes, thank you.
Bruce, I'm actually, if I could build on that, I think you've answered this before, but I'd love to hear it again. If you were in good old, like Kern County here, Bakersfield, south end of the Central Valley, number 2 agricultural producing county in the nation, as we love to say, like in any of the promo that we do about our university, oil, aerospace, what do you think is particularly interesting about being an investor or a small business person in this location? You know Bakersfield.
I used to travel Bakersfield to Larry, all that area when I was in the auto parts business, so I know it a little bit. I used to do business, a lot of business with Haverfeld, Ford, when they were back in the day. I didn't know if they're in business anymore. Up there, what would I do up there? Well, the oil patch would be tempting, but the price of oil is $30 right now. That's not much fun. Agricultural, I don't know much about that in terms of what the opportunities would be. Retail wise, how's downtown doing? Is it coming back or is it dead?
It kind of depends on who you ask. I mean, I live close to downtown Bakersfield because it's like, it's got some character. It's a little bit more bohemian than other parts of town. you know how I roll, Bruce. So
I do, baby. I know how you roll.
That's my
But,
style.
I think for me, Bakersfield, for example, where we live in Oregon, we live near a town called Bend, Oregon, that has about 30 breweries, craft breweries. And we know that the guys that own the biggest one, the seventh biggest one in the nation, the Sheets Brewery.
You know, your buddy there at the Chutes is blowing it up, by the way. I'm seeing his beer everywhere now.
That's great. Yeah, the Fish family, Gary is a great guy. His dad was a buddy of mine. Tom's a great guy. Anyway, look at something like that. Look at a brew pub. I don't know what your religious beliefs are about drinking and all that, but are they saturated or are they non-existent in Bakersfield? And I got to tell you, it's going to come if it isn't already there. So you know that's the kind of thing that I would suggest. Look for something that's on the rise and maybe not fully exploited, or where there's a niche you can find. That's what I would do, something like that. Are there brew pubs down there?
Yeah, there's a new brewery, but it's terrible.
Which one?
Oh, Himmler.
That's the one on.
That's everything about it is great except the actual beer.
That's kind of an important element of a brewery.
It is.
Yeah, it was. I thought it
They have
was
so much money behind them though. They could do everything with it.
Well, you're gonna have to buy.
lengthwise.
Yeah, Bruce, I don't know if there's an opportunity in this market for another craft brewery, but I think the general
People love craft
the
beer.
general comment about like,
If it was
I mean,
good.
If I may interject a different question since we're on this topic.
Yep.
Since he's friends with the guys that own the Chutes, did they have a reaction to Ballast Point being sold for $1 billion?
That's a wonderful question. I asked the dad that question. And you're not going to believe the answer. Well, maybe you will. But Gary, who owns it, runs it, and you might understand, is the seventh largest is being hustled by Anheuser-Busch and InBev and everybody. And they were clapping their hands when that happened because they were approached as well. And they have an ESOP, so they got, I don't know, 40, 50 of their key people in this ESOP, and they just love the fact that breweries are valued on the basis of $1,000 a barrel. So if you put out 300,000 barrels a year, you're worth $300 million. And the deal in San Diego just doubled that number. So all of a sudden now your barrels are worth $2,000 a barrel. So now you're worth $600 million. But Gary, who runs it, says to his old man, I don't think this is telling tales out of school, is, Pops, what am I going to do tonight? I play golf, I have a good life, I'm involved with industry affairs, I'm living fun, I'm having a lot of fun. And, just to get a bunch of money and go sit in a park is really not of interest to me. So everybody's different. And, for example, he has the dad, a brother and a sister who were stockholders along with the ESOP. And if he was getting heat from his brother or sister to sell because they needed the money, so to speak, with his dad, that'd be different, but everybody's fine. And nobody's pushing him, so he's just rocking on.
I'm sure it was good for his ego though to know that.
Oh, absolutely.
Hell,
Who doesn't
sold
want to
for
think
$1
that
billion.
this is double the value overnight? Absolutely, I can guarantee you that. Ann Rodriguez, Christiana?
Yep,
Christina.
Christina.
Hi, Christina.
Hi. How did you get into investing, and in your opinion, what are 2 to 3 key skills to have to be a successful investor?
Well, we sold the business, we got a lot of money, so there you go. You might have something to do, so I taught at UCLA for 4 years with Jeremy and others, and in the process of that, I got involved with the Angel Group and started investing in things. Other buddies of mine were investing and so forth, so you kind of get into the deal flow. 2, 3 key skills. Well, I'd say one of the skills has to be, you gotta be able to run numbers. You gotta understand what a balance sheet, how to read a balance sheet. And you gotta be able to decipher a P&L and no bullshit on the P&L from good stuff. So I'd say one of the skills, you gotta understand how to read financials. Another is, you wanna be able to get close to the management, so you can talk to the management. And watch their body language. Do they follow up with you? Do they seem like they're getting along with their management team? Do they do what they say they're gonna do? We're gonna expand into Arizona next year, or next month, and the next thing you know, well, we're not gonna go to Arizona, we're gonna go into Nevada. So you wanna see what their strategy is, and see how their execution is. So I would say, watch the financials, look for their strategy, and watch their execution.
Thank you.
Bruce, can I ask a follow-on question to that?
Mm-hmm.
So, the first part of the answer was, how did you get into investing? And
right.
You were talking about the fact that after you got the big boatload of money, you had some time on your hands and were doing different things. One of which was mentoring me.
Right.
And would you say that it was a small letdown or a gigantic letdown to do anything else after the fun of hanging out with our tech group on campus?
Well, it was great fun, and it was something I really needed to do, and I sold the business because, for me, the two things that I like to do in business as an entrepreneur, you can write this down. Then I got a pro line for you, some of you have heard before, but one thing I love to do is build something out of nothing. Build something out of nothing. I think that's the most fun. That's a startup. That is so exciting. The second thing I like to do, Jeremy, to you and UCLA experience, is develop people. It's so much fun to take a young person or even an older person and develop their skill set and see them flourish with responsibility, coach them, and so forth. Those to me are the two most fun things I've ever done. And we did it in business, and then we did it after the business. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
It does. It's just nice to hear that.
But those were good times.
It's nice to hear once again that you enjoyed it, because so did we.
Yeah, absolutely, it was great. Caitlin?
Kayleen.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
So in our class, I would say that on average, the students in here are relatively new to the workforce, as in within the last 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
As we start pursuing our careers, what advice do you have for us?
I'm reading the question on my paper.
I was talking about like opportunities on when to leave, but I think probably just your general gauge on your career development is probably something that'd be good for us.
Jeremy, I can't hear you.
That's fine, Bruce. Kayleen was asking if I could put things in context. Most of the folks in here are MBAs who are somewhere between 5 and 10 years into their professional careers. Some are a little bit more than 10 years, but mostly, they're not undergrads, but they're relatively at the beginning of their professional careers. And Kayleen was asking, do you have some general advice on navigating from that point in their career to go forward to build, not necessarily as an entrepreneur, but just in general in their careers in that stage?
Well, I think you need to, first of all, see if where you're at has legs. If there's an opportunity there, or is it dead end? And not everybody's going to be in a home run situation, so get over that. Some businesses are just kind of plod along and they do very well, but they're not going to be a rocket ship. But they should have opportunities. Secondly, stay away from negative people. Just stay away from them. You find yourself in a negative setting or it turns negative for some reason, I would move on. Or if you've got the power to get rid of the negative people. I would also, then I would really, which is what you're doing, where you're sitting there, I would network. I would be sure I have a nice broad network and find out what other people are doing. What's working, what's not working, where the action is. For example, our grandson, who hasn't been able to get a full-time job, he graduated from Pepperdine recently. He and I are having great fun with a 3D manufacturing rig that he bought, and he's building things with his 3D printing rig. I think 3D printing is going to be unbelievable. I mean, the opportunities and things you can do once you understand how it works. I couldn't figure out how I saw it work. It's amazing. So I think there's some technology like that. Clearly seeing they're making teeth for people with that stuff. They're making car parts, making parts for old cars that aren't available anymore. It goes on and on. So the opportunity has to be, in the business growth. It has to be with the people you're working with, and you got to look around for opportunities that might be out there that you're not aware of. And in Vegas, you get a unique situation with oil. You got the agricultural piece. I don't know what else you got there at this point. I haven't been in a while. But that's my answer to you.
Can I ask just one personal question also?
No. No, let's move on.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Yes. Okay, but you have to say it loud, Kaylee, so I can hear you.
Okay, do you live in Bend, Oregon? In Bend?
Yes, we live near Bend, Oregon, a little town called Sioux.
Oh, okay. I know where that is.
Do you know the area?
I have a lot of family in Roseburg, Eugene, Corvallis, Bend, and Portland. Pretty much my whole family
Okay,
lives in
good for
Oregon.
you.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting rain quite soon.
Yeah, we have there this summer. It's interesting. He's in a really nice area.
Well, it's Bruce. He goes first class. Cool. Was that the extent of your question, Kelly? Yeah. Okay. Bruce, who's
That's
next?
right.
Yeah. Hi, Bruce. My question was actually already pretty thoroughly answered through Tracy's question.
Okay, well, losing my voice, that's good, thank you. Gene Sequence, or Sharon?
Yep.
I think you also answered my question in a way. My question was, what inspired you to become an angel investor?
Yeah. Originally just boredom. With my buddies were doing it, and I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. And you want to get, you're always wanting, as an older guy, you always want to do it again. You still got the mojo, so that's kind of what it boils down to. I mean, then you got funny money, and you're putting, 25 grand in here, 50 grand in there, and, what works, what doesn't work. So it's hard to explain, I guess. It's a thing old guys do. Next is
Bruce. Can I interrupt for a second, actually?
Yeah.
Desiree and Shannon were nice enough to say that their questions had already been answered. But I'm going to throw another one out there, just because I know, over time you've had interesting comments on it. Desiree and Shannon are one of two different pairs of husband and wives that I have in my class, and I think it would be interesting to hear from you about the importance of the team, the husband and wife team, in the success of a venture or the failure thereof if there's not cooperation there.
Well, I failed in that before.
No, you don't. You and Maureen get along great, man.
I tell you the true story. My wife and I still laugh about it. We talked about it the other night. I'm kind of a hard ass, and I'm focused. And so we started a little software company. She had her own software company, and she sold it. And so we started another one as a side deal at home. And no disrespect to you guys, I'm sure you work much better than we could. But anyway, 3 weeks into this, she says to me, I quit. She says, you're a jerk.
Seriously, 3 weeks, Bruce?
Oh, yeah. She said, you're a jerk. I don't know 3 weeks. So that was the end of that venture. But so, it's a personal thing, and, I got a style, she got a different style, and it didn't mesh. So I hope it meshes, and frankly, my parents did a hell of a job. They worked together for many, many years, and just to give you a positive story, my dad was a guy that had a million ideas, and it's just never stopped. And my mother, who was probably smarter than my father in the business and in every other way, was the filter. And she was, 10 ideas you spit out, like she'd throw 8 out, these 8 aren't worth a damn. And he would listen to her. And then she said, well, this one is interesting, let's think about that. And she says, this 10th one over here, let's do that, that's terrific. So, you know, you got this yin and yang situation. She never ran the business per se, she was just kind of the invisible hand in the background. She did work in the business from the standpoint we had, at that point, we had 30 retail stores. And she did all the decorating, and bought all the furniture and laid out all the stores. And she was very good with layout work and so forth. But, so there's two extremes. You know, my wife was on the jerk, and my folks worked really together. Until they did. Later on, they got a divorce. But that was when they were 80 years old. So anyway,
your parents got divorced when they were 80? Bruce, your parents got divorced when they were 80?
I think it was 70 or 80, yeah. I think it was 70. I'm wrong. Yeah.
Wow.
70, yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
Couldn't they just ignore each other?
Yeah, Tracy said, couldn't they just have ignored each other at that point, rather than going through all the trouble?
Well, it's a long story. You know what. Yeah, that is better. Let me move on. I got two more to do. I'm running out of steam.
No problem, Bruce. Go ahead.
Jacob, Roger.
Yeah, you already answered my question earlier.
Okay, great. Derek, Stotler?
Yeah. So my question is, looking back on your career, what was the most exciting opportunity that you were a part of, and why?
Well, you know, that's a wonderful question, and let me tell you how that evolved. My dad taught me to always go to the top. Always find the owner, try to befriend the owner, and don't worry about being rejected, just keep trying. So, turns out, I'm sitting at a dinner table with a guy who was to become the CEO of American Airlines, a fellow by the name of Bob Crampton. And we were in the travel business, and he was a vice president of marketing at the time. We just kind of hit it off. Because he was correct, I was correct. And we hit it off. So now he's become chairman. Travel agencies all of a sudden started getting computers and they're being automated as opposed to a prior situation when they were doing all tickets by hand and calling on the airlines by telephone and reservation. Now it's all going on with computers. So we're the distribution point for the airlines at that time. We have a 75% market share of all ticket sales. This is back in the 70s. And so they come out to us and they want to buy our share. They want to come out and give us the computers, pay us money to book their airline, have our customers get on their airline. And that was the springboard for developing our company into what it turned out to be and how we got the big payday, because we started using their money to build our business. And we would give them a terrific disproportionate share of our business, which drove their business. And so they would give us millions of dollars to do that in bonuses, and then ultimately we were able to borrow money from them for no interest, $1 million at a time, and make acquisitions as long as they were in the marketplace they wanted us to be, because that's where they needed more volume. So we had this partnership that was very exciting, and he and I got along great. And, you know, both of us told the other they're full of stuff and full of it. And give you an example, one time I'm quoted in the Wall Street Journal about something in the business, and Crandall calls me up and says, Ron, says, you can't say that in the Wall Street Journal, that gets all in trouble. I said, well, it's the truth. He said, I know it's the truth, but you can't say that in public. So, you know, collecting hands up. So, that was exciting. So, you know, you guys, if you find a horse to ride, man, ride it.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Derek?
thanks, Bruce.
You bet. Xavier?
Yeah, I think you pretty much went over mine already, Bruce.
Okay, Mr. Welch?
Yeah. I'm basically kind of looking at it in this way. What's one of the, I guess what's the one that kind of got away in terms of investments? Not so much something that you just couldn't close the deal on, but something that you guys kind of maybe turned away, or turned out to be a little
That's another good question. I'll never forget. I had, and you guys, I don't know, what's the average age of class, Jeremy?
I don't know. I'd say like late 20s, basically. Am I?
Well, you guys right there.
Yeah, late. They're about the same age I was when I did my MBA at UCLA.
Okay, but anyway, at some point in your 30s, maybe early 40s, you're going to hit a wall. Some of you, like I did, you're going to want to find a therapist. And I got to say, therapy is great. Don't be embarrassed by it. It's absolutely fabulous. So you need it, and I had a problem with my dad at one time. We finally split up with my dad because we couldn't get along with the darn. I didn't know, up from down. So I went to this fellow in Pasadena by the name of Neil Warren, who became a good friend and a great therapist and helped me a great deal. But after I sold the business, he calls me up and he wants to have lunch with me, and so we go to lunch, and we're sitting at a Hilton Hotel in San Fernando Valley, and he says, I got this great business I started, and I'm out of money, and I'm going to say 10% for $1 million. Well, I'm still the poor boy from Southgate, and I'm thinking, wow, $1 million. What's your business? He said, well, it's a company called eHarmony. And I said, eHarmony, what's that? And of course, how many experience you have? How many know what eHarmony is?
Oh yeah, there's I don't think there's anybody that doesn't, Bruce.
I turned it down. I turned it down, and of course I could have probably made $100 million on that deal or more.
A unit,
but I turned it down. So there's your answer to your question, young man.
You could have made a unit on that, Bruce?
Yeah, could have made a unit on that guy, but I just didn't feel right, and I didn't understand the business and dating, online dating, what the hell was that? So there's one that got away. Julian James West, last one.
Julian is actually not here, but please go ahead and address the question if you want, Bruce. It's, are there any business opportunities you're considering for the future? If so, what are they and why? I'm kind of curious about that because you're kind of just like living the life there in Bend these days, and you haven't really been doing a lot of new investment projects that I know of, have you?
No, I do. I would say that I would. I'm trying to encourage my grandson to get into this 3D printing thing. I think that's got a great potential. Have any of you done any of that? Raise your hand. Anybody has? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You ought to go down the halls to the engineering department or wherever they're doing it there at school. I'm sure they're doing it at your school. And just watch them make something. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. First of all, unless you watch it, you can't really understand what 3D printing is. It doesn't make any sense to you see it. And, you ought to know about it in your bag of tricks just to know that technology's out there. So, Jeremy, that's something I'd like to get into with my grandson. I don't know that we can figure it out, and I don't know what kind of capital it takes, what kind of what market we would enter. It's just, you can almost do anything. So that's the only thing I'm looking at right now.
Got it. Other questions that Bruce hasn't got to yet? Justin, go ahead.
I was just wondering, based on your experience, what is the best way a group can approach the angel investing group?
Jeremy, you repeat that.
Yeah, that's okay. Justin had asked. We've got a couple different projects that are going on in this class right now, but there's other projects that various people are involved in outside of here too. And Justin was just asking, what's the best way for a new venture or a group to approach angel investors or approach VCs? Obviously you get a lot of like, hey, you want to invest in my business conversations, and I think he was asking what's the best way to open the conversation without bugging you while, coming across as professional at the same time.
You mean me personally, or you?
No, like, I think it's a more general question.
Yeah, I would suggest, you asked this before, I would suggest you, Jeremy, call UCLA.
I did.
What did they tell you?
Actually, I called like relatively late in the Friday afternoon, so I didn't catch Al, but I need to send him an email and keep following up.
Yeah, I would call Al. What's the name of that gal? She's awfully sharp. That's there.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't think of her name either. But I would do that. I'd do late adjustments. If you really get stopped, let me know. I'll tell you what, I'll make a note to myself. Hang on a second. Gotta get on my to-do list. I'll call my brother, see if I can get the name of the local angel investor group here, the guy whoever it is.
In Oregon?
No, I'm in LA right now.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Tech Coast Angels down there.
Yeah, it is Tech Coast Angels.
But there's other ones too. If he has another one in mind.
There's a Pasadena group. There's an Orange County group. There's another group in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
you get a hold of Tech Coast Angels?
Yeah, I do. I think Justin's question was more of a stylistic one. Like, when you hear from new ventures, like, what's the proper protocol for, when somebody's approaching an angel,
Well, okay.
So they're not bugging the angel, but at the same time they're getting their story across.
Well, it's tough. What happens is the process is you submit your business plan to them. They then call through them and they decide which ones they want to present to the group, because the group meets once a month, or used to. And then they have presentations, and then people can decide whether they want to invest in the companies. So you call them and ask them what the format is, what they're looking for. They want a PowerPoint, they want a paper presentation, what do they want, and how long should it be. So can they send you a sample of a presentation that they're used to seeing, so the format is acceptable to them. And then just try to get in the queue. At some point, you can start a conversation. I would get in the car and drive down there so you can meet with them and see if you get some interest in your idea. I think it's very important to be enthusiastic when you're talking to them, not giddy, but enthusiastic. I think it's important to be organized. And to know what your 5-year plan is, and everybody knows it'll change. And how many you need, what you're willing to give up for it. You need to understand, this is important, you need to understand, how that works, A rounds, B rounds, cram downs, all the different terminology in the financing of startups, and I'm sure there's books on it. Jeremy, you might give the folks.
Yep.
But you need to know the lexicon. So you look like you're sophisticated enough to talk. And you need to be able to talk. You know your question, how much will you give away? And the answer obviously is as little as possible. But you gotta understand what you're talking about when they talk about A rounds, B rounds, all these different things. So you need to become knowledgeable about the financing aspects of an angel investing environment. But I'm about shot.
That's fine. Can I, Bruce, make one closing statement / question, and we'll call it a night?
Sure.
So, I'm not sure if you'll have any, comment on it or not, but there's 4 different projects we're doing in the class this quarter, and 2 of them are crowdfunding projects.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one crowdfunding project that is looking to raise about 20 grand for a community garden here on campus, and another project. Huh? Oh, Derek just told me to double the price when we explain it to you. And then we got another one that's trying to raise about 10 grand or however much we can for a t-shirt and clothing apparel venture out in the desert in Randsburg that's heavily involved with the dirt bike community out there. I'm curious, like, if you've had any experience over the last couple of years with all this non-equity crowdfunding stuff like Kickstarter and GoFundMe, and if you had any sort of words of wisdom for our projects. It's really exciting what we're doing right now, but you know, we're making this up as we go along, and I'm curious if you have been exposed to any of that in the last couple of years.
I have not. I understand what you're talking about. I understand Kickstarter and concepts, but I have not been exposed to anybody that's done anything with that, so I'm sorry to say I can't help.
That's okay.
I got 20,000 things to help us with.
Well, your voice is a little bit tired anyway at this point, Bruce. So we're actually pretty close to the end of class time anyway. Is there anybody that didn't get their question answered or has another one that you thought of before we let Bruce go? Everybody good? Justin, you good? Okay. Bruce, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Let's give Bruce a big round of applause.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Okay.